Tonight, the Stig drives some very fast farm equipment, I hail a taxi, and finishing with something that I'm reliably informed is a bit of a fan favourite around here.
Hey you all there virtual racers, thanks for clicking and welcome. Today's segment is about a staple in most automotive enthusiasts' life, Top Gear.
I'm Chris Harris, and this is the Top Gear Horizon Special. Ah yes, the Stig, our very own UFO, unidentified fast object, the world's least obedient racing driver. Right then, the Lotus Elise, a 90s classic based on the age-old roadster recipe. 2 seats, engine in the middle, rear-wheel drive. Not an ounce of fat. This is what driving is all about.
But for those who are yet unaware of the show that gives us something to look forward to and cars to be excited about. It's been on the air for decades and it's had several spin-offs, unfortunate ones according to the critics.
But this isn't just any Elise, it's a Sport 190, a tuned-up, stripped-out Elise for track days. Even the passenger seat is an optional extra. But who needs friends anyway? Friends are expensive and heavy.
It's also made its way to the game of Forza, and here we are in Horizon 4 to check out custom clips made by the show to incorporate into the virtual landscape of Great Britain where this iteration of the title takes place. Surely some car folks are rolling their eyes. How could someone not know Top Gear? But in reality, it only averages between 3 and 6 million rating views per airing episode, residually much more once it's made its way across many countries. According to The Guardian, it could be 350 million viewers, but that audience is overwhelmingly guys and over 35 years old. Some younger players may not know why the Hamster is called that. It still manages to pull off the top-watched show in 2013. And there's a familiar voice in the background. Is that the Hamster I hear? Oh, no, unfortunately, it's another squeaky announcer. This is one of the many offerings built within the Forza Horizon 4 as a bonus to the regular old racing game. Driving to the marked map location opens up a window for advancing through a series of special events. Unfortunately, the mini-episodes we get to be part of the game aren't narrated by the original 3 hosts, but some of the lines are at least amusing to go along with the drive experience for them. We get Chris Harris instead.
Hang on, that's my BMW 1M. Seriously? Not funny. Who gave Stig the keys?
And while this isn't the first time it's been in a Forza game, it's the first specifically for Horizon. There were previous appearances by the well-known cast in versions of Forza Motorsport. Hammond, Clarkson, and May, the 3 British gents, are known for making wisecracks, some not particularly well received, and one of them likes to start wars on Twitter. But what they do well is entertain and sometimes drive. However, a trained racing driver is on staff, and that's the Stig. In these missions, we're taking over the master driver's role to test the top speed and agility of the cars selected for missions. I used to watch the show all the time, or I probably wouldn't have been able to identify most of the rarer cars that I do when out in the wild of Silicon Valley's car scene. I never thought I'd see them in my lifetime, frankly, but life's weird like that. Now I get to photograph quite a few of the same vehicles that they film. Driven quite a few as well, but being able to smash them around through different AIs in Forza is still fun too. While the official BBC-hosted version of Top Gear continues through its 30th season with new hosts, the original 3 amigos have moved on to another show aptly named The Grand Tour after an interesting altercation involving the show's big ego and its producer. Some kind of fistfight over food or something equally as childish? One could completely expect that from the hosts. If you haven't watched the show for any amount of time, for you newer car folk, trigger warnings aplenty. It's supposed to be comedy and most of the narrative is, but that's also because they're set up by writers to be in absurd situations. Each episode is usually including a challenge set up by the writers and directors where the comedians stumble their way through driving tasks or navigating against each other in a race to find out what's more efficient for travel, a train, plane, or Ferrari. Okay, so for a few of the fans of the show that are probably still wondering where the Hamster got that nickname from, because there's a few assumptions out there about it being to do with his last name or physical stature, but it actually has to do with an incident long ago in history. in which Hammond was an expecting dad. Another automotive journalist told Richard that he was having a little hamster, and that's since now stuck. It doesn't help when he plays into it by mimicking rodent-eating behavior on the show. But the assistant producer of the show, Andy Willman, did once say, in quotes, almost everything we'd filmed was once again aimed at people with the mental age of 9.
Now, anyone else want to go? No? Don't say I didn't ask. Right, back to the actual script now, if you don't mind. This is Top Gear's Tractor. It's a tractor, obviously, but with a 5.7-litre Chevy V8 making 500 horsepower. And here comes the Stig again. Farm Stig. Born in a barn, they say, weaned by pigs, can plough a field in under 6 seconds. There's a speed camera on the M68. Rumour has it only flashes above 87.2 miles an hour. Our tractor has been officially clocked at 87.2 miles an hour, making it the world's fastest tractor. But I reckon it'll go even faster.
Even I have to admit, in the car scene, it can be a bit, immature. Big kids, even 50-year-old ones. It's just something that you get used to when you're into cars. It comes with the hobby. It wasn't meant to be an insult anyway. He later clarified that it was about the escapism and fun that cars offer to those of us who are really into them. And I mean, oh come on, I grow down to about 5 years old around race cars too. I've suddenly forgotten about everything else except shiny objects that make loud noises and go fast. So Top Gear does do an excellent job at escapism, and Forza Horizon is probably even more effective form of sinking yourself into a virtual world long enough to forget about the real one mid-race. I'm too busy dealing with crazy AI driving that slams you right into the walls. If you're unfamiliar with the game title, it's an iteration of a series that's been around since 2012. Now in its 5th release, which takes place in Mexico and offers all the same activities in addition to some story mode campaigns. Eventually I'll get there, but for now I've barely played through all of Horizon 4 since I was late to the party. The pandemic gave me more reasons to get immersive in this version of Great Britain that's crafted for us by Turn 10 Studios and Microsoft. It's among the most popular racing games in the industry, and for good reasons. It offers the typical online race experience in competition to your opponents, but it also has several cooperative options through Forzathons. Or when convoying with friends, it's you against everyone else, and your combined points can help you win the race for both, even if one falls behind.
This is Project EAT. That's EAT for E-Class All-Terrain. It's a modified Merc built by the Top Gear magazine team for finding bears in the woods. Not many bears around here, though. Mostly badgers. Still, there's definitely some terrain. Lots of it. All you need is a good sense of direction. Or not. Here's Stig again, looking lost. Terrified of maps, apparently. Inner compass points directly south. The EAT has a silky smooth V6 diesel. It'll do 155 miles an hour on the road, but where we're going, we won't need roads. First up, it's a trip to the top of Glen Rannoch, by any means necessary, and against the clock, naturally. But don't worry, it has knobbly tyres, and a roof rack for carrying extra knobbly tyres.
In 400 yards, turn left.
It also doesn't fully run out of content by rotating in events weekly to help players accumulate new customization items or cars that are harder to obtain. And the central content, the racing itself. If the map offerings already programmed in aren't enough, the custom track layout tools allow one to create a completely unique route, then assign what classes of cars can participate. It's basically endless, but then there's also DLC, one of which is Legoland. So between constant new layouts, hundreds of cars to choose from, and the raw fun of the game's physics, it's pretty easy to stay glued. Plus, it includes so much of what matters to the super enthusiasts, including this Top Gear segment tucked within. These little extras just make the game that much more special. Much like the show, we get to partake in a few strange automotive tasks, like testing out what happens when you put a V12 in a taxi, or racing as fast as possible to all the clock towers located around the map on a sort of scavenger hunt. You get to be the Stig, and it's the only portion of Horizon where you're playing someone other than yourself. Since the Stig's identity has never been fully confirmed, you can claim that title for now. It's one of the many tropes that's carried the show's charm for many seasons. Hammond's nickname, the Stig's identity, and Jeremy's lack of self-awareness are sort of all an inside joke that viewers enjoy as part of the fun of being a fan of the program. If you don't already know it, check it out. Even some of the older episodes are worth it, even if the cars have long cycled out of production. Sometimes the history is interesting in and of itself. Hopefully Trustworthy and I catch you sometime online during a race. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, y'all, and bye-bye.
Diesel engine here. This has a V12 with over 750 horsepower, plus bucket seats. Beaded bucket seats, presumably.